Most people might not know why we're walking.
Okay.
We are walking because there's a measure of discontent in the town.
Okay.
And the walk here was sparked off by an alleged racist or incident. Can't call it any name. But
You could possibly call it a racist incident, but go ahead.
yeah, well, I have known racist incidents where people haven't let me pass on the street.
Yeah.
But youngsters, we have a lot of young men who are not working, who have accommodation that my son certainly couldn't get any accommodation when he came back from Australia.
Yeah.
So there's not been one single racist incident.
What's your first name? Sorry, do you want to move this way out of the way of the traffic?
Not one single Garvey.
Margaret Garvey. Fair play to you,
There hasn't
Margaret.
been one single racist incident. Most people here are like me, went away to work in England and came back, where our leaders assure us we were welcomed. Well, we weren't always welcomed, and we worked. And we've nothing against people who don't work. There are people fleeing from war. But everybody who's in Ballaghadereen at the moment, who's using up all the housing, no housing for the local people, everybody now in Ballaghadereen they're not contributing to the community in any way.
It's like they haven't had enough now, really.
Yeah,
this is the straw that's breaking the camel's back. Really.
This is the straw, and people are reasonable and good and welcoming, and this is a wonderful community, but it's been fragmented.
Absolutely, and I mean it's not just here, Margaret. It's all over the country that these migrants have been moved in that have no purpose here. They don't have anything to do. They don't have any credentials. We don't know what any documents about where they're coming from or who they are, and it's a recipe for this kind of thing.
Well, we're well able to differentiate between people fleeing from war and people just migrants.
Yeah.
And at the moment, Ballaghadereen cannot take any more. We have only 2 doctors. The schools, we don't want more services, if that means more people.
No, that's not the answer.
That's not the answer. We need to recognise that a very small community, about 2,300 people is on the census.
Margaret, I'm concerned here because I've been following this kind of issue for the last 4 years, and I've created my own media set up here, but the local politicians here that are coming here to try and tell you to protest against this, most of them have been on board with all of this, bringing in all these people, unvetted or vetted or whatever it is, and I'd hate to think that the good people of Ballaghadereen would be hoodwinked here, today.
Well, I have a young daughter, a nurse, came back from England to nurse here. It took her ages to get vetting. Ages.
They don't want her back, you see, that's the problem. The Australian nurses during COVID, they wanted to come back and they didn't want them back either.
Yeah, well, what a big hoax that was. And however,
Margaret, have you any political affiliations at all yourself?
No political affiliations.
And who did you traditionally vote for, can I ask you?
I lived in England for a long time. I suppose because my father was in the army and a civic guard later, we would traditionally maybe be Fine Gael. But when you begin to see through and realise they're all the same, they deliver the same thing. We're dictated by Europe anyway, and we have no sovereignty. They're pretending we have, and they're always talking about small communities and input and small people. That's all bullshit. I can see it for years.
What do you want to say to the government, the local TDs here? Basically, the people who've been running this country for the last 10, 20 years, what would you like to say to them? Because they will be watching.
Well, you're putting me on the spot now. I need to have a dictionary with me, actually, and I'm not a lexicographer either. I would like to say, don't pretend that you're for the people. Just tell us the truth. You are dictated by Europe. You removed any legislation that protected the most vulnerable, which was the child in the womb. You're introducing euthanasia and many other things besides that. But life does begin. Life begins and ends, and you can't interfere in it. But don't give us platitudes and change language. Don't change language and make us believe that a man and a woman are the same as each other. They're not. They're complementary. Have I said too much?
Margaret, it's very refreshing to meet a woman like yourself that is so awake to what's really happening. You're obviously not buying the lies of RTE and the politicians.
Well, it's not what RTE tell us, it's what they don't tell us.
Yes, lie by omission.
Yeah, lie by omission. It's very difficult to get the real truth. There are people in America who make films like the Unreported Truth film, McAleer and Anne McElhenney. Have you heard of them?
No.
They're the untold stories. They make films up against everything they are. But it's nice to talk to you.
Margaret, excellent, and thank you very much for being so frank and honest. Thanks very much.